Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Hey everybody, I just wanted to point out that later on in the podcast, you'll hear me mention a promo code of code 39, which is incorrect. It is CARE39. So when you hear code 39, it's actually CARE39. I'm an idiot. CARE 39. That is CARE 39. On with the show. Easy come, easy go, that's just how you live. Oh, take it all, but you never give. Should have known you was trouble from the first kiss. Had your eyes wide open. Why were they open? Gave you all I had, you tossed it in the trash. You tossed it in the trash, yes you did. Bitch, to give me all your love is all I ever asked. 'Cause what you don't understand, I'd catch a grenade for you. Hey everybody. What the heck was that? I guess I was in the mood. Oh yeah. Whatever mood that is, don't catch it. It might be contagious. Stay away. Well, here we are. And I have coffee yet again. Wow. Coffee is a beautiful thing. And all that squeaking you hear is me sort of putting the little green stick stopper on the lid of the coffee. Well, that's that. I'm feeling excited. How are you? Oh, I apologize. This is Ruel. How are you? Ruel Avadam. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, and from the opening of the show, you should be probably running scared because you didn't know what you just tuned into. Well, why am I excited? Well, by the time this comes out, I'd be smack dab in the middle of it, but the family will be taking a trip to kick off the spring break that the kids are going to be on. And to be quite honest, I feel like that's just crept up on us. Just boom, whoa, spring break. It just felt like yesterday when it was holidays and stuff. Yeah. And I'm also pretty excited because of work. My day job, you know. I work in the software industry. I work for a company that uses tech in cool ways. And I'm getting to do cool, challenging, and exciting stuff. So, yeah, I'm feeling good about that. So, yeah, I've talked about it in the past couple episodes, and sort of as a follow-up, Ginger.io. How are you guys liking it? Amazing, right? Huh? Yeah. You're welcome. Hope you use the promo code. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there's an app, an Android and on iOS. It's called Ginger.io. Check it out. There's a promo code 39, CODE 39. Yeah, save some cash. Anyways, that's that. Just a quick run update. Since this is a running podcast, I have not decided yet what I'm going to get into next. I've played with the idea of just doing another long solo run, like I have done many times. I've also talked about getting into another event nearby that would give me the opportunity to check out the nearby trails and offer support. So yeah, still looking into that. And I have quite a bit of stuff going on currently that I don't want to look too far ahead and start planning too far ahead because, to be quite honest, I am not a planner. Yeah, that's just me. Now, if you're a planner, congratulations, you're awesome. High five. Now, the weather is great for running. I've been getting a lot of sun, but I haven't been getting as much runs as I'd like. It's just the way it's going to have to be. But I will look forward and do more consistent running week to week. Take advantage, man. Definitely do a lot more shirtless running. Yay, shirtless running. Get some vitamin C. Yay, D. Yay, vitamin D. But who knows? I may be sucking on a vitamin C supplement while I'm running to get my vitamin D, and I'll get that. Yay, vitamin C. Speaking of running, shout out to Daniel Weston. What's up, Daniel? Daniel is a friend, and he's a super talented, competitive, speedy runner from the UK. He's been a past guest on the show, and he catches me on Twitter, and I catch him back. But it's hard for me to catch him because he's so fast. He's so fast with his Twitter. Daniel's awesome. It always makes me feel good when folks connect and give me feedback on the podcast, and it's encouraging. It's positive. And even if folks just want to tell me they want to kick me in the balls, you know what? It's positive. It's encouraging. It's inspiring. So, what to talk about today? I was leading up to this recording feeling like, gosh, I have so much to talk about. Right? But for some reason, and I probably need more coconut oil in my coffee, I just kind of like lost it all. But one thing that I did seem to remember is the basics. And what am I talking about? Well, it basically comes down to me talking about stuff that I've talked about, years ago on the podcast, and stuff that I've lived on for a number of years, and it's just, I guess it's worth covering over and over again in case there are new listeners who are new to NSNG. NSNG is this lifestyle created by a friend, Vinny Tortorich. He's got the Fitness Confidential podcast and a book, Fitness Confidential, and he's the reason why I'm actually doing this podcast, to be quite honest. When I started this podcast, I tagged it as the illegitimate child cast of the Angriest Trainer podcast with Vinny Tortorich and Anna Vicino. Since then, the podcast had changed from the Angriest Trainer podcast to Fitness Confidential. And I've been following the NSNG lifestyle for, I don't know, Lonnie, help me out. What is it, 4 years? However long Lonnie's been doing it, Lonnie Beecham. I've been doing it, but he's probably been doing it longer. I'm sure he'll claim to be doing it longer. And I have no problem with that. NSNG, meaning no sugar, no grains. Simple as that. But what's not simple is finding out what is a sugar. And a sugar, it can come in so many different forms, and it doesn't have to be technically a sugar. It can just be anything that's sweet. It can be artificial. It can be natural, right? And it could be, and definitely when it's added, when you have some things that have naturally occurring sugars, if you have them in their whole form, they're not as bad. But that's where your sugar is. And no grains. You have to look into what the heck is a grain. And I'm a rice eater, so I'm automatically having grains, but I minimize it. I don't have as much of it as I used to, but rice being the least gnarly of the grains. You're looking at wheat and all the other stuff like that. So it's a lifestyle of, if you can cut the sugars, the sweeteners, if you can cut the grains, and you have everything else, vegetables and meat and fish and healthy fats that come from the meat and the oils, the healthy oils, you will realize that there is a whole lot more to eat than things that are tainted with added sugars and processed grains and garbage like that. So you're basically cutting your traditional breads and crackers and muffins and cakes and pizzas and candies and ice cream and blah blah blah. You get the picture. Sugars and grains. It doesn't have to be prescriptive. You can just really think about, what do you eat? What does somebody eat regularly? And then start analyzing what those things are. For example, and this is kind of part of the back to basics that now it's starting to come back to me. Pre-NSNG, you like that? That's air coming out of my nose. I have a leak. Hold on, I gotta take a swig of this coffee. Prior to NSNG, as a way to manage my weight or lose weight, and as a way to lose weight so that as to try and get myself lighter so that I can hopefully get faster with my running, I dabbled with the Atkins approach to dieting, and in particular the induction phase. If anybody's familiar with it, you basically keep counting net carbs, and you're keeping it at a minimum, below 20 grams of net carbs, and had some successes, and then I yo-yoed, and I slacked off, and then I struggled to get back into it, and was also discouraged and failed. But pre-NSNG, what did that mean, being on that sort of diet, right? I was still eating garbage. I was still eating crap. I was just now counting the crap that I ate, right? And so I don't have to be on a diet to describe pre-NSNG. I don't have to talk about the diet, but that was just, I don't know, it just kind of came out of my head. But pre-NSNG, I'm eating a breakfast let's do it this way. I'd go into. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have a breakfast getting out of bed. Just didn't feel like I had the appetite to eat anything. I may have picked up a coffee, and it would have just been black. So I had that going for me. Awesome, Then I would get to work, and I would have already stashed some food in a file drawer at the office. This is years ago, right? Pre-NSNG again. And what would I have stashed? I would have stashed a loaf of wheat bread. I would have stashed several cans of tuna in water. I would have stashed a can opener. I would have stashed a bottle of Tabasco, a bottle of yellow plain mustard. And I would have stashed maybe several, Cliff Bars, peanut butter Cliff Bars, peanut butter nuts or whatever they're called. Peanut butter nut. Yeah, so that was that. And so for lunch I would mix up the Tabasco and the yellow mustard with the drained canned tuna, pop that in a few slices of that wheat bread, and that could be a lunch. As a snack, I could have had that Cliff Bar, right? And so we're looking at, these days I wouldn't have that bread. Why? Because it's wheat and it's got sugar. You don't want sugar, you don't want grains, so I cut that out. That leaves me with mustard and Tabasco, which I still enjoy today. There's no sugar and there's no wheat in the Tabasco and in the yellow mustard. I'm a fan of the yellow mustard. I was a huge fan of ketchup. I could suck down ketchup out of ketchup packets like crazy. I was a huge fan. But guess what? Ketchup lovers. Sugar. Tons of sugar, tons of sweetener. So don't need it. I failed over to mustard. Mustard's great. It's got turmeric in it. Turmeric's got some health benefits to it. So yay, mustard. Canned tuna. I'm not into the tuna. I mean, I could eat it, but I haven't had tuna in a long time, except for the tuna that is in sushi. So, and the whole reason why I got into the canned tuna was, it was, a source of protein, and I was into that mindset of, the bro science guys that like to go to the GNC or the whole bodybuilding supplement store and say, yeah, you want to, get more protein, and you can get it from the supplements or you can get it from food. And someone had talked about canned tuna, and then I somehow just latched onto that over time. But yeah, no more. And the Cliff Bars, same thing, sugars and grains and other garbage that you don't need. And why is it garbage? Well, for me, the sugar is just going to put me in a state where, yay, it tastes delicious. So, but guess what? It's also addicting. How is it addicting? Well, I don't know. I could go through a day just having fat and heavy cream trickling through the day, right? And I won't get hungry until, the evening. But yesterday, for example, I decided I'm going to have some lunch with the coworkers. I could have just skipped lunch, but I wanted that break, and I wanted that social interaction. I wanted to catch up with the coworkers. So we went to a place. We had, what was it called? Leaf and ladles or something or other. So leaf representing salads, ladle representing soups. So yes, I got soup and salad. And, I was, given the choices, I made the best choices. I'm not going to say that it was completely sugar and grain free, but these are my choices, and you'll know. And if you don't know, then you can kind of study it and ponder it and then think about it and all that good stuff. So what I had was, I picked the soup first, and there was a lot of different types of soups, but I went for the one that I guess made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, and I know what's in it, right? I know what the risks are with having it, but I had it anyways. It was the New England clam chowder. So it's got potatoes. Potatoes aren't a grain, but some will argue that potatoes are basically sugar. It's just a starch vegetable. Your body's going to utilize it and convert it, and it's going to end up becoming sugar anyways. So there you go. But there's a cream, or I think there's even butter. I don't know. There's cream definitely that's in the clam chowder. So I had a little bit of the fat from that working for me there. And, there were clams, but, there was bacon in there. Hopefully they cooked it in some bacon. But, there's always that risk, too, that, they would have added, some other starch to help thicken it. Hopefully they didn't, but that was a risk that I was willing to take. The soup was hot. The soup was delicious. So, definitely, I had my fill of starch carbs off of that soup. And then for the salad, I picked up what was called the chipotle salad. And the other alternative was a Caesar salad. Dressing wise, I don't care for any of the dressing. Fortunately, for the chipotle chicken salad that I got, the dressing was off to the side, so I never used it, because I guarantee the dressing is going to have some bull junky oil in it, like a canola. Yes, canola's garbage. So, and whatever spices they'll throw in there, there's a risk of having some sort of sugar or sweetener or some other thing that I don't need. So I just went and got the salad dry. They had chopped chicken in there, and it was pre-seasoned, so I ran the risk of potentially having some sort of sugar or sweetener tainted on that chicken. It did have that Southwest flavor to it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was just what it is. The corn I brushed off. Didn't need the corn. Corn's a grain. They were corn kernels, so compared to the tortilla strips that were in the thing, which I brushed off as well, the whole corn kernels aren't as bad. But if the whole corn kernels came from a can, sitting in some liquid that had some sugar, then there's the risk there. Didn't have the kernel corns, didn't have the tortilla chip strips. There were black beans. Black beans, they're not a grain, they're not a sugar, but they are a legume, and they are a source of, carbs, and carbs aren't bad, but I prefer to get my carbs out from vegetables. I prefer to get my carbs not from the starchy vegetables and the legumes, and definitely not the sugars, because sugar is a carb. But it wouldn't hurt. It didn't hurt to have some beans. It would just make later in the day entertaining as I tooted my way home. So the rest was just greens, and there was a lot of chicken. There were some greens. There was some cheese. Probably not the best cheese, but whatever. I knew I was getting into stuff that I didn't have massive control over, but that was that. That was lunch with the coworkers. And so I had that lunch, right? Coming back to something that I was trying to get to. I could have skipped lunch and been fine. Basically fasted through the day. But I had that lunch. But guess what? Later in that day, 5 o'clock rolled around, and I was feeling hungry. Right? It's funny how I could have something midday and then be hungry hours later, whereas if I had just fasted through the day and not be hungry, and I believe that has to do with the fact that what I ate did affect my blood sugar. I mean, a lot of stuff that we eat anyway is going to affect our blood sugar. Lonnie will tell you, what was it, Lonnie? The restaurant effect, Chinese restaurant effect, where you could just stuff yourself silly and that'll affect your blood sugar. Anyways, but I feel that I got enough of a spike in my sugar, and that caused the hormone response that resulted in me getting hungry. But now, if I had skipped that lunch and fasted through, I wouldn't have gotten that spike. I wouldn't have gotten that hormone response, and I wouldn't have that response of feeling hungry. There's nothing wrong with eating, but I just think it's fascinating, right? I have more food in me, but yet I'm hungry, versus don't have a lot of food in me, and I'm not hungry. it's kind of like sounds backwards, right? So yeah, that's that. That's so pre-NSNG. You know, I would just have those snacks. I would have those meals, and I would be eating things that were sugar, that were grains, that were sweetener, that were high in the types of edible things and foods that would, and I say edible things because, the engineered foods that come from a bar, the supplements, all that junk, it's not food. They're just things that you can consume, but food is like, man, is like whole food. That's food, right? Anyways, so pre-NSNG, again, that's how I rolled. And, for dinner time, maybe I'd have a late dinner, right? And I'd have a workout. I would do my martial arts. I would do like 2 hours worth of intense cardio via the conditioning class at my Thai boxing class, my Muay Thai class, before doing the second hour of the actual Muay Thai, which is intense as well, but different. So I'd like beat myself up physically and then have a late dinner. Not a lot of places would be open. We would be on a budget. And I find myself at a drive-thru at a Burger King, having a double Whopper with curly fries. If they even do any of that, I can't remember. It's been such a long time. There you go. The burger's got the bun. It's the grain and the sugar. Yeah, there's sugar in the bun. Guarantee it. The ketchup that's in the burger, there's the sugar in there. There's the mayo, which is going to be made from garbage oils. And the fries are going to be seasoned with something that's suspect. Not on top of the fact that it's a potato already that's going to be converted into sugar. So I would pound on that, and then if my wife didn't finish whatever she had, then I would just devour that as well, because I'm a pig, and I would wash it all down with a diet soda, a Diet Pepsi or a Diet Coke. And because I'm saving on calories, and calories counted, and mattered back then, pre-NSNG. Not anymore. Not while NSNG. Not, I don't count them. But, so there I was, pre-NSNG, eating. That's sort of an example of the stuff I ate, and I would do my hard workouts, and I would do my runs. I would still do my runs at work, but I would struggle. I was fit. I was fit for Thai boxing. I was fit for the other martial arts that I was getting into. I was fit for, my 5K runs, right? But I was packing on, the weight. I was heavier than I am today. Crazy, And, we're all there. We're, unless you're some, like, bodybuilder or supermodel or whatever, right? You go through whatever diet or regimen that you choose, and you do whatever exercise program that you choose, and you sweat your ass off, and in your mind, you are super fit, you are super in shape, but then you get a picture of yourself and you're far from it, and that, I'm that way. And it didn't make any sense. It's like, I'm spending all this money for this gym membership or this, fee to be part of the martial arts school or club or whatever. I'm spending all my time doing these things, but, I'm not where I am sort of body composition wise. Why? Because, as Vinny Trotovich says often, that exercise is a poor way to lose weight. You can use it to help support your lifestyle and be fit and strong, but, and I've talked about it in the past episodes with my first marathon, how all of that marathon training just resulted in me being like 10 pounds heavier than I was when I started. You know, it all comes down to diet or how you eat that is the rich way to lose weight, the opposite, if that even makes sense. So that was pre-NSNG. You know, I ate stuff that was clearly sugary and grainy, but now when you cut all that stuff out and you open up a world of new foods, whole foods, you know, meats, vegetables, and and not fearing fat, I did that to test how I could fuel for my long runs. I did that to test how I could lose weight, and the two weren't separated. They went hand in hand, and it became to where it was just how I feel me as a human being is just supposed to fuel for life. It happened to be the way to fuel for activity. So today, it's NSNG. I won't be 100%, but mostly there. And I know it's there's that few percent where I'm not strict. That's keeping me from seeing super ripped abs and all that stuff. But I live with it. Should there be a day where I feel super narcissistic, where I want to see if I can have a 6-pack and an 8-pack, then I'll opt to do a no life into living. That's what's used in the NSNG group, where I'm strictly no sugar, no grains. But I'm mostly there, and it's gotten me to my lightest since forever, and it's gotten me in clothes sizes that I haven't been since high school. And that's a common thing for folks that are in the NSNG group, that's following NSNG, that they drop weight and they end up putting clothes that are sizes that they haven't been in since high school. Because there was a time prior to NSNG where I never thought it possible for me to ever fit in a size 28 waist pants, small t-shirts, because I'm not a big guy, and I'm there. And even when I slip and I'm not my best like I did months ago, I'm still in the smaller clothes. It works out for me. I'm not a tall guy, so I have a lot of I don't know how I say it, similar everything, background, height, and I say background because it matters, because when I say somebody who's like me, who's about my height, about my age, cultural ethnicity, being Filipino, and living and having grown up where I've lived and grew up on the island of Guam, in the island of Guam, however we say it, there's certain types of foods that we've grew up with and enjoyed, and I'm able to look at those folks online, on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, and and know that had I not made the shift to NSNG 4 or so years ago, I will look at my how do you say, my I don't know, I would look at folks who are basically me, who have not gone NSNG, and I would just look at that other mirror. Does that make sense? Right? I can see like guys that I grew up with, same background. I can see that over the years, they've packed on the weight. They look, they look how I know how I have looked pre-NSNG, and how I would look with had I not shifted. And it's not to be mean. It's just observational, and it it gives me a lot to be thankful for with the choices that I've made based on the exposure that I've gotten with Vinny Tortorich and Anna Vocino and podcasts and all that good stuff. NSNG, has given me the amount of energy and kept me where I need to be at the age I am, right? I'm in 40 something. I don't even remember, and I could run around the park and climb around, up structures with my kids. Whereas, I've seen the dads who are like 10 years younger than me who I'm pretty sure aren't on NSNG because they don't know about NSNG, but they don't have the physical ability to run around and jump and sprint and do all that stuff. So I have a lot to be thankful for because my kids are still pretty young and I want to keep up with them and I want them to keep up with me. I'd love for them to hit the trail someday and get into running as a way to, get exercise and maybe, should they need to, clear their head because all of that's important. So that's, someone might, folks who are new to NSNG or new to this podcast might want to know then, what do you eat? Well,
Coming up, Rue gives us something else to think about. How vague is that, Ruel? Geez. Could you be any vaguer, Ruel? Well, it's all coming up on Ruel's Running. Okay, the book is called Eat Happy, Gluten-Free, Grain-Free, Low-Carb Recipes for a Joyful Life by me, Anna Vocino. Eat Happy has 154 delicious grain-free, gluten-free recipes that are also free of any processed sugars. There are meats, fish, sides, soup, starters, casseroles, slow cooker recipes, breakfast dishes, and even desserts to satisfy any sweets craving you might have, all with virtually no sugar. If you are low-carb, paleo, are wanting to keep autoimmune issues at bay, or just want to lose extra weight, Eat Happy gives you comfort food where you won't miss the sugars or grains, so your body and brain can feel happy from eating real foods. Okay, go get it then. Now's your chance. Yay! Yay!
a lot of times in the group we want to just say, when that question comes up, what do you eat if, on NSNG? And it's cryptic and it's simple, and it's at the same time it's just as long as it's not a grain and it's not sugar or added sugars and sweeteners, right? So a lot of times the question of fruit comes up. Vinny likes to say in general, stay away from the tropical fruits because they're higher in fructose, they're higher in sugar. So you're talking about, mangoes, pineapples, right? But I believe avocados are a tropical fruit. Avocados are an exception. Avocados are awesome. They're great. They've got fat in them, healthy fats in them. So meat. I love pork and beef and fish. And if it's chicken, I really, really prefer the dark meat. It depends on the chicken. I may enjoy the breast, or generally I just avoid the breast. Coffee. I'm a big coffee fan, and I don't put any sweetener in it. I will add some healthy oils and fats in my coffee time to time. Most often it's heavy whipping cream. Not whole milk, because whole milk's got sugar in it, naturally occurring or added a pairing of. I think how do they produce milk? For they separate all of the milk fats and the lactose, and they have to add a level of all of that back in to put it back together again as it's become, sterilized from its raw form. Anyways, so yeah, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, MCT oil. Not so much now with the MCT, not so much now with the coconut or the butter, but mostly just the heavy cream. But if depending on my mood, I know I can opt for those other healthy oils and fats. I don't follow a meal schedule, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, any of that stuff. I spend most of my time through the week having meals at the end of the day while I just trickle coffee and through the day because there's this state that you can become of being fat adapted because you're restricting the amount of carbs. You are limiting your carbs, and it can be considered low carb. But guess what? I think that it shouldn't be called low carb. I think it should just be called normal. Everything else is a high carb diet, right? The standard American diet, the standard Western diet is a high carb diet, high carb lifestyle, and a high carb low fat lifestyle. So if you live the opposite of high carb, low fat, if you reduce sugars, cut sugars, reduce grains, cut grains, eat healthy fats, eat whole foods, and see what happens. See what happens. You know what? You may lose a bunch of weight. You may get healthier. You know, and there may be some blips along the way that as your body adjusts, you know, you'll feel like shit. You may get some weird, gnarly symptoms because your body's having to adjust, having to process foods that you've not had to eat before, and you feel like garbage because you're not eating the garbage that you've garbageated. That's my word, garbageated before. But eventually, you tinker in the spirit of NSNG, and you find out that you're dropping weight, you're feeling great, your clothes are fitting differently, you know, ailments that used to ail no longer ail. And if you don't like it, as Vinny would say, if you don't like it, you can go back to eating this the way you used to eat. Vinny Tortorich. Thank you, Vinny Tortorich. Thank you, Anna Vocino. So signing off. Basically, you know, from the illegitimate child cast of the Fitness Confidential podcast. That's it. So, folks, this show is sponsored by abadam.com, where you get stuff done. I like to think so. What stuff? Stuff like, let's say you need help with graphics, websites, podcasts, along those lines. You know, I put myself out there to help where I can help over at abadam.com. I've always done it, but now with abadam.com, it's just a way I can direct folks to a place I can direct folks to should they need help. You know, do what Vinny Tortorich does. You know, you need help for a design for a Fuck Quinoa t-shirt, go there. That's what he did. You need help with a design for my favorite breakfast cereal is bacon and eggs t-shirt, go there. That's what he did. Or do what Lonnie Beecham did. Lonnie over at Restored Restoration at Jefferson City, Missouri. You know, he needed help migrating a website from one hosting provider to another. He did. You know. Yeah. So abadam.com. That's abadam.com. Yeah. Awesome, guys. I will sign off, click off, and drink off my coffee cup. So I'll catch you next time. Folks, please hug your family. Eat something delicious and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.